The Ordinary Discussion Podcast.
So, I don't think we're always meant to catch them. I don't think you're meant to win every tournament. But when it's your time, it's your time. And some of my most spiritual moments have been while fishing and on the water. I've had days where just nothing can go wrong, and there's no doubt that it was God, and I was in God's presence, and everything was meant to be. And like I said, I've had days where everything was just a failure. And if you don't have those days where things are just failures, everything goes wrong, then you're not going to learn from your bad experiences. And I feel like you have to have days where you're just really successful and succeed.
Hello, we have another very interesting podcast for you today. My guest is Trevor McKinney, professional bass fisherman. Something near and dear to my heart. Love fishing. Trevor won the college championship in bass fishing last year. That's right. In case you didn't know, there is college bass fishing, and you can receive scholarships to fish for your favorite university. So really cool. I think I missed that era in life. I would have loved to have tried that one out. But by winning the college championship, he qualified for the Superbowl of bass fishing, the Bassmasters Classic. If you haven't heard of that, it's a really big deal, huge event. Hundreds of thousands of people show up. Millions of people watch it on TV. So big deal. And he not only qualified, but he did really well in his first debut of the Bassmaster Classic, and he took home a pretty sizable check. So really happy for Trevor in that regard. If this conversation around bass fishing, his faith journey, etc., is not interesting enough, well, just a couple of weeks ago, he was struck by lightning while running down a lake or a river, I can't remember which one, going 55 to 60 miles an hour. So that's pretty incredible. And obviously he lived to talk about it. So we're going to talk about that. I think that'll be pretty interesting to say the least. And we will talk about this and a lot more in this episode. So also to include how prayer has been a vital part of his journey and success. So I think that'll be an interesting conversation that I have a lot of questions about and challenges around prayer myself in a good way. So if you're liking our podcast, please subscribe and like us on YouTube or your preferred listening platform. Make sure you leave a comment as well. We love to hear from you. And don't forget to spread the word by sharing with your friends. Our main focus is to discuss life in regards to our relationship and our walk with God. And so any support you give will only help advance the kingdom of God. So let's get started. Enjoy. Let's do this. Trevor McKinney, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Oh, good. I've never had a professional bass fisherman on the podcast. I'm pretty pumped.
I'm excited to be on here. We'll give away some goods and talk about some good stuff.
Give away goods? I didn't know we were giving away goods. Are we doing that?
I might share a few secrets on here, so stay tuned.
Oh, good.
We'll give away a few secrets.
All right, good. Well, I love bass fishing. It's been a passion of mine since I was a little kid. In fact, one of my dreams has always been to be a professional bass fisherman. So maybe I'll pursue that. It's not too late, right? I mean, there's a lot of those guys that start late in years, aren't there?
Yeah, no, it's never too late. There's even guys that I fished against in college who would be never too late to chase your dreams.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Maybe I'll try that once we get Ordinary Men up and running. I can find some time. Well, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for your time. I know you're highly sought after. Anybody that's had the success that you've had this last year, people are wanting to talk to. So, Trevor, so are you out? You're not out of college. You're still in college, right?
I actually graduated with my degree. So I got a degree in elementary and special education.
Okay.
So I'm out. I'm done.
Oh, you are? Okay, good. So Trevor was a college bass fisherman at McKendree University, correct?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So how does that work? Probably a lot of our listeners don't even know that there's college bass fishing.
Yeah. So college and high school bass fishing has really taken off in the last really 5 to 8 years. When I was in high school, I went to Benton High School here in Illinois. I fished for 4 years in high school at Benton, and I had a really good, successful high school bass fishing career. So there's actually bass fishing coaches in college who recruit fishermen, just like any other sport, like basketball, football, any sport. So you have coaches that recruit, and the coach was John Render at McKinney University. Recruited me to be team because the last 4 years have been the best 4 years of my life fishing in college. It's just an incredible experience. Everything's paid for too. So like expenses on the road, gas, food, fishing license, it's all paid for. So you can't beat that. You get to travel the country, fish, and you get a chance to qualify for the Bassmasters Classic like I did. So it's been an awesome experience, and I highly recommend it to anybody who wants to get into bass fishing and fish the college ranks. Look at college bass fishing because it's really incredible.
Yeah, I wish that was a thing when I was growing up. That wasn't even on the radar. How many colleges actually have bass fishing teams now? Do you know?
Honestly, any big name college you can think of has a bass fishing team. I mean, we fish against Auburn, we fish against UNA, even like Adrian is up in Michigan. They're a really well known school. Schools down in Texas. I mean, Texas A&M has a good team. You look at any big name college, and even the smaller colleges like McKendree, they all have bass fishing teams anymore, and it's become a big thing, really. Like I said, it's really grown in the last 5 to 8 years, and it's an awesome opportunity for college and high school anglers who want to. I did. It really gives you a platform to build off of. So that's kind of how I use this experience the last 4 years. I use it as a platform, and it's really bettered me as an angler and as a person in general. So it's been an awesome experience, and I recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So, as Trevor mentioned, he went to Benton High School in Benton, Illinois. That is where I am from. I didn't go to high school there. We moved around a lot when I was in that age group, but my whole family is from there. My parents met there, went to Benton High School. My brother went to Benton High. So that is home for me. So it's really cool to see a small town Southern Illinois guy make it like you have. And so that's really neat. I mean, there's only like 5,000 people in our town, right? I mean, it's a pretty small place.
It's pretty small, but
Yeah.
that just shows you. I mean, it don't matter where you're from. If you look at the group of professional anglers, they're from all over the country. I mean, they're from up north, they're from down south. There's a lot that come from Alabama, Tennessee. Chad Morton Taylor, he's from Illinois. So it doesn't matter where you're from. It just shows that a guy like me or you or anybody can pursue a career in fishing, and it's really awesome because everybody has an equal opportunity.
Yeah. And you got a scholarship, right?
I did. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to go to McKendree. They offer bass fishing scholarships. I know it's hard to believe, but they do. They offer scholarships for fishing, and it's crazy to think. I mean, you can go fish, your expenses are paid for, and you get paid to do it. So it's really awesome.
So explain that to me. So I played college football, right? And I got a scholarship to do that. I know what that looks like. I know the commitment. I know the getting up at 5 a.m. for workouts, the 6 a.m. breakfast checks, the study halls, everything else, right? So, I mean, I think that's kind of an understood thing when it comes to certain sports. So when is your season in college bass fishing?
So we have one of the longest seasons, really, of any college sport. It really starts up in January, and we fish until November, December. So
Is
I
that
mean,
right?
it's really an all year round sport, and really like you're talking about with football and other sports. Fishing is one of the sports. If you enjoy it's not that much work. I mean, we get up at 4:30, 4 o'clock, spend long days on the water, come back, eat, get our schoolwork done. I mean, it's really mentally you have to prepare for all the work that it is because I'm not saying it's not a lot of work. Bass fishing is a ton of work. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
you're
is.
constantly on the road. Um, Unlike guys on the football team, they ride a bus. People don't think of that. Us bass fishing guys, we hop in our Florida, fish all week, and then we drive back, and we have to keep up with our schoolwork. So, I mean, it is a lot of work. But when you really enjoy what you're doing, we've got a great group of guys, and most teams do have a great group of guys on their team. It's really just a lot of fun, and we really enjoy traveling with each other, keeping up with schoolwork, all that stuff, and it flew by. Really, I mean, I went to school for 4 or really almost 5 years, and it just flew by, and it makes you really appreciate the opportunities that you get with your goes by so fast, and if you don't really sit down and appreciate it at times, where you know it, it's over. So I'm just happy that I went and fished in college and had those opportunities that God gave me, and it was an awesome experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, what is a young guy like you, like when you were a bit in high school? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe his parents don't have a lot of money. Maybe he can't afford a boat. How does that work? Like as far as do they provide a boat for you? Do they give you a stipend for a boat? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, on our team you don't have to be a boater to be one of the best anglers, and that's awesome in my eyes. We've really got about 30 guys on our team, and maybe 18 of them have boats. So we do have about a dozen non-boaters who maybe can't afford a boat, who don't have a boat, and every year we have one of those non-boaters in our top group of anglers. So we have something we call qualifiers in the fall. We have 6 tournaments, and it's really to see who our best anglers are. And really, our top 6 anglers get to go to every tournament all year long. And like I said, we've had somebody who isn't as fortunate, doesn't have a boat, maybe didn't grow up in a background where their parents had a boat, fished. We've had one of those anglers on our top 6 every year. So you don't have to have a boat, don't get into college fishing. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money when I started. I had an old boat and got into it and really just bettered myself every year, upgraded to a better boat. And now look at me. I mean, so don't get discouraged if you don't have the nicest boat. I mean, anybody can do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I mean, I'm proof that you can fish out of the back of the boat. So I got a buddy, Sean Hewer. I know he'll be listening, and I always outfish him out of the back of his own boat. So now I'm just taking a stab at my buddy here. Well, that's great. So
Yeah.
so you fished your way through the ranks in college. Last year you qualified for the college Bassmasters Championship. There's all kinds of terms. I hope I'm saying it right.
Right. Yeah. So last year, it's actually really hard to qualify for the Bassmaster College National Championship. So me and my partner qualified, and we were fortunate enough to get 4th place in the championship, which qualified us for the Bassmaster College, like what everybody wants to qualify for. It's like one of the highest, most prestigious college bass fishing tournaments. So me and my partner qualified, and I actually won the college bracket. So that qualified me for the Bassmaster Classic. I get to fish all the Bassmaster Opens this year. I get to drive a fully wrapped Nitro G20, Toyota Tundra. I mean, it's just an awesome experience, and I was just really fortunate to be able to win that tournament. And it's really opened the doors for a lot of things that have happened in my life over the last several months. Partnerships with sponsors, literally this fall in bass fishing. And it's like I said, just really opened the doors. And God, I feel like He's really got a plan in my life. And there's really some awesome things to come, I feel like.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So you have a cool story. So you won the college tournament last year. So you were the college champion of the whole United States. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. And so that qualified you for the Bassmaster Classic, which is the Super Bowl of all fishing. I just let me just say this: if you're not a fisherman, if you're like, man, this is kind of you're losing me here. Stick with us because we have another conversation we're going to have around Trevor being struck by lightning. Just was it last week or a couple weeks ago?
Last week.
Yeah, so we're going to get into that. So hang with us. It's not all going to be just about fishing, and but I love this conversation. I mean, I could talk to you about fishing until you're tired of hearing me ask questions. But so you won that, but you had a story within that championship win. You spent a lot of time on your knees in prayer, a sleepless night. Can you just tell me a little bit about that journey, how your faith with God, your reliance on prayer, you feel like really catapulted you to that victory?
Yeah, just the whole experience leading up to the bracket. So I was student teaching last fall. So we're talking the national championship, one of the biggest tournaments for collegiate anglers in the year. And I didn't really get much practice because I was student teaching. So I actually flew down to Florida. Partner, Blake Jackson, he drove down there. And when he got to, literally, he drove 16 hours. He got to the hotel. A lady rear-ended his boat and just totaled it.
No way.
The boat. It was a brand new. He just paid $80,000 for it.
No way.
Just ripped the motor. Yeah, the motor was laying in the road. The truck got thrown into the boat got thrown into his truck. Like, I'm talking totaled the boat. It wasn't able to be used. So we had 3 days of practice. Now we're down to scrambling for a boat, trying to even find a boat just to fish the tournament. So we were a little bummed out. I'm going to be honest. Things happen, and God always has a plan in a lot of bad situations while it's happening. I mean, a lot of times we can look back after it's over and see what God had in store, his plan, kind of see it unfold. But when it's happening, sometimes we don't see that. And this was one of them bad situations that turned out to be a blessing. And we actually ended up getting a boat. One of our buddies brought a boat from Illinois.
Oh,
we only had 4 hours of practice.
Drove all the way down from Illinois. That's a good friend.
Drove all the way from Illinois. Yep.
What lake were you on?
Brought us a boat. This was on the Harris Chain.
Oh, Harris Chain,
in Florida.
Yeah.
Yep. So he brought us a boat, and we had 4 hours to practice, which it's going to be hard to compete against guys who've been practicing for 3 days when you only get 4 hours of practice normally. So you want to maximize the 4 hours you have. You want to take advantage of every hour that you have. So we went to the closest boat ramp, and we found the biggest school of fish on the entire lake in the 4 hours that we had. I mean, it was just incredible. And we were pumped. We didn't really know how good it was until we showed up the first day of the tournament and caught like over 20 pounds in 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. In 10 minutes?
So had we had 10 minutes, yep. Had we had 3 days of practice, had things gone like we wanted them to go, we probably wouldn't have found those fish. We'd probably found fish in the place. But I feel like it was God's plan the whole time for that to happen. And like I said, a bad situation turned into a blessing. We were able to get fourth place in that tournament, qualify for the bracket, and the same thing happened in the bracket. I mean, I just felt like it was God's plan for me to win that tournament. And me and my dad prayed for about a month prior. Every day we'd pray, Lord, we feel like it's your plan for us to win this bracket. Just show us what you want us to see, give us the opportunity. And, it just happened. And the first day, like I said, I felt like it was my time to win. I felt like God had favor on me. And I didn't have a fish at noon. So I'm like, Lord, please just show me. I mean, I know I feel like you want me to win this tournament. Show me what you want me to see. And I ended up going to an area where I thought there was fish and just really caught the heck out of them. Ended up winning the first day. The second day was quite the opposite. I had a rough day. Only had 7 pounds, but I beat the guy I was fishing against. And, I was a little bit discouraged after the second day. And as I'm driving back to my hotel, I just felt like God was speaking to me. Don't get discouraged. You do tomorrow. So the last day I went out, I didn't know where I wanted to start. I actually woke up at like 2 a.m. and just felt God tugging on me. And I prayed for probably 3 or 4 hours prior to the tournament. Actually, it was pretty neat. There was a chapel at the place we were staying at. We were staying at a 4-H camp. And I literally 2 a.m. walked down to the chapel. Just spent several hours praying and just asked God to lead me, to direct me, show me where he wanted me to be. And the last day, I started up just lighting them up, call like 40 in a row.
No way.
And it was, I was pretty emotional. When you see things fall into place like that, it's God's plan, things to happen like that. The presence of God sometimes just makes you emotional. And I knew, I had in my heart that was God's plan for me to win that tournament the whole time. And to see it fall into place like that after everything that had happened all season, there's just no other way to describe it as what God's plan is for me in the future. I know there's a reason why I won that tournament, a reason why everything's happened this year like it's happened, and I'm excited to live in God's plan and see how things are going to progress throughout the year and throughout my fishing career.
Well, I'm already seeing it. You're on this podcast, you're talking about the Lord, you're giving him glory, you're, I'm sure, encouraging others in their faith and in their prayer walk. And, I went through, I probably still struggle with being a skeptic around prayer, like things like that. Like, I'm like, well, what about the other guy? Like maybe God wants him to win, or even like praying about, I know this sounds silly, but like I deer hunt a lot. I don't know if you hunt. Do you hunt at all, Trevor?
I hunt a bunch. I guide, or I take duck hunters hunting a lot during the winter, and I deer hunt all winter. So
Oh,
I
Trevor,
do
we
a
got
lot.
we got a lot to talk about. I've got a trailer up in Saskatchewan with a lot of decoys in it. We need to get up there and use. But anyhow,
Heck
duck,
yeah.
duck and goose hunting. But so I always feel weird. I've always felt weird praying about things like that. I thought it was kind of petty. But then I met a guy. Do you know Terry
Yeah.
Rexsteiner? Lives in town with you?
I don't. No, I
Okay.
don't.
Well, he goes. I think he goes to Whittington. I know he goes to Whittington Church, but uh,
That's where
oh,
I go to church at.
yeah, that's so. You guys go to the same church. You should meet him. He's a great guy, but he prays a lot about hunting. About I had him on the podcast. He's it's called Hogging and Discipleship. If you guys want to go back and listen to it, Terry is a guy that really loves the Lord. I mean, really loves the Lord, and he just believes that God is involved in every aspect of his life, which he is. And he'll pray about shed hunting. He'll pray about and literally like he'll pray and then he'll look over to his right and there'll be a shed there. I know it sounds crazy, but you know why I believe it's true is because he always gives God the glory. Like he is like so. It's a beautiful, simple faith that just always gives God the glory. And I'm reading a book now. It's How to Pray. That's the name of the book. It's a great book. Not through it yet, but he says the same thing. He says, like the Lord, our Father wants us to continually be in prayer with him and be engaged with him. And when we do that, things that were coincidence suddenly are not coincidence, they're answer to prayer. And I wonder how many things in our lives that God is actually doing for us that we call coincidence, that when we pray about it, we can now give him glory because it's an answer to prayer. So I've taken this new role of, man, I'm just going to pray about everything. And when it works out, it gives me an opportunity to give God glory. Even if it was a coincidence, I'm going to give God glory. Right. And I don't believe yours was coincidence because you're doing so much with it. And it's interesting. This may be encouraging to you.
Right.
I was fishing. I've got my trout fishing. I wore a fishing hat today. You got to come out here and trout fish with me, by the way. But I was trout fishing the South Platte River just a couple weeks ago. I'd never been there before. It's supposedly it is a really technical river. A lot of guys struggle on it, but you can do well as well. And on the way there, I'd heard your story. And I just prayed. I said, God, I know this sounds fickle. It sounds silly, but just lead me in the direction of what I should be using, what fly I should use, and my technique. And I fished for like an hour and a half with nothing. And then suddenly I had this thought to put this crazy, I mean, you've had this before. It's like this crazy lure that you would never think of.
Right.
I had this crazy thought to put this crazy fly. If you're not a fly fisherman, this may not make sense. You're supposed to use little tiny flies on that river. I put a really big fly on, size 14. And I had one of the best days I've ever had in my life. Now, people listening may be rolling their eyes. I'm telling you, I'm beyond certain that the Lord just blessed me that day. He had favor on me, and he just said, yeah, I want you to have a great day. And thanks for including me in this.
Yeah.
And now you can give me glory. So I have changed my perspective so much on what I pray for and how I pray. And I just love your story because it's just this simple faith around this simple thing, but because God answered that prayer, you're now able to give him glory. And I think that's what you really care about. It's like glorifying him, not yourself.
Right. And I've been on the other end of the spectrum many a times. I mean, I prayed, and it just didn't happen. And I've had people ask, well, why didn't you catch them? Or why do people who don't pray catch them? And, we're not always meant to. Our biggest learning experiences come from failure. And if you never fail, you're never going to learn from opportunities where you fail. So, I mean, I don't think we're always meant to catch them. I don't think you're meant to win every tournament. But when it's your time, it's your time. And I mean, some of my most spiritual moments have been while fishing and on the water. I've had days where just nothing can go wrong. And there's no doubt that it was God. And I was in God's presence and everything was meant to be. And like I said, I've had days where everything was just a failure. And if you don't have those days where things are just failures, everything goes wrong, then you're not going to learn from your bad experiences. And I feel like you have to have days where you're just really successful and succeed.
Yeah. And I think the times that you pray and you don't get an answer to that prayer or things don't work out, guess what? You still spent time with the Father. You still spent time in relationship with the Lord, and you learned something from it and became closer to him because of it. And I just think Yeah, I just, it's part of the relationship. It's part of our relationship with the Lord. So that's really cool. So that time in prayer, him, guiding you in that tournament, that's the one you won to get to the Bassmaster Classic.
Right.
Yeah. And so, as I said before,
Yep.
Bassmaster Classic is a big deal. I mean, there are like millions of people watching, like millions of people watching it on TV. There was over 150,000 spectators there at weigh-ins. There's a lot of money given out at the Bassmaster Classics. And so, if you're not in the fishing community, that may not mean much, but just trust me, it's a really big deal in that community. And so for you to be able to fish in that is like, it's like every angler's dream, every tournament angler's dream, right?
Right. It's been my dream since I was a kid. And like you said, it's just like, it took me a while to really realize I was fishing in the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, it's literally the biggest tournament in the world. Um, if you've never been to a classic, you don't realize how many people are actually there. I mean, we're talking thousands of people at takeoff, like tens of thousands of people at weigh-in. I mean, it's just glorified. It's an awesome experience, and you don't realize the experience unless you actually go.
Yeah. Well, make it this year and I'll come. I'll be one of those guys at takeoff following you around. How about that? That'd be cool.
I still got five chances. I got 5 opens, and I got to win one, but I'm hoping to make it back.
Yeah, that's cool. So how does a guy like, this is just general question. Like if a guy's like, man, I'd love to get into bass fishing, get into tournament fishing. I want to try to do that. Like what would a guy like me have to do through the year, or how many years does it take for me to get, and what do I have to accomplish in order to get to that place?
Yeah, everybody has a starting point. I had a starting point. Kevin Van Dam had a starting point. Every professional bass fisherman started somewhere, and one of the best opportunities to learn, I would say, is fishing as a co-angler. You can fish the Bassmaster Opens as a co-angler, and it's a lot more affordable. I think entry fees are like $450, but really, it's just a learning. Like you can learn so much as a co-angler, and if you draw a guy like I'm open, so you draw a pro or draw somebody who really knows what they're doing, you can learn so much from that guy. And if you fish a whole season, you probably fish with 20 different people who really know what they're doing, and you can learn so much in one season. So I would say start as a co-angler, learn from some people, figure it out from other people who really know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, and then kind of use it as a stepping stone to start fishing yourself as a pro. So that would be my biggest advice. And whether you're fishing in high school, you can learn a lot from your boat captains in high school, or your elders, your dad, your grandpa. Just try to get in the boat with people who know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to learn from other people, because you can really learn a lot from other people who know what they're talking about. And you can learn a lot from YouTube nowadays. I mean, I started a YouTube channel. I posted 5 or 6 videos, kind of just showing people how I've broke down the Bassmaster Opens, how I've caught my fish, videos of me catching my fish. You can learn a ton just by watching YouTube videos and watching from people who really know a lot about bass fishing.
Yeah. How do people follow you on YouTube and,
More and more on YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram, Trevor_McKinney_fishing. I've been trying to post every day, because I've got a lot of young anglers following me, a lot of people who want to learn more about bass fishing, and I just want to be able to give back to the sport of fishing, give back to people who want to learn, and that's what I've been trying to do. Just post on Facebook, post on Instagram, post on YouTube, just trying to teach people, things that I've learned over the years.
yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Um, so you did quite well in the Bassmaster Classic. I mean, for your first debut, I mean, you took home a check, which is awesome. What'd you, 34th, 35th? Is that right?
31st.
Oh,
Got
sorry.
a $10,000 check. Yeah, 31st. I got 31st place. It was really a weird tournament. So I had an incredible practice, one of the best practices I probably ever had for a tournament. And I was really excited to get out there and fish, but there was a shad spawn going on. And anytime there's a shad spawn going on, and I was catching all my big fish before 8 o'clock in the morning. So I was catching them all before 8 in the morning, and after 8 o'clock, it just got really slow. Like, it was really hard to get bit. And I just had some unfortunate luck. The first day of the tournament, we had some really strong winds in the morning, and I wasn't able to capitalize on my bite. The second day of the tournament, we didn't get to go out till 9 o'clock due to a thunderstorm. So, yeah, I just had some really unfortunate luck, and it just wasn't meant to be. We never know what God's plan is, like I said. And, I really wanted to make that last day, but maybe I was supposed to talk to somebody at the expo. Or maybe I wasn't supposed to be at the last day because something bad would have happened. You just have to head there and just hope you can make it back.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Hey, let's take a quick break. I hope you're enjoying this podcast with Trevor. I sure am. It's a topic I certainly love, but I want to take a break to thank our sponsor, Ordinary Men. This podcast would not be possible without Ordinary Men providing the resources and the funds needed to make all this happen. And we're just so thankful for that. We hope that the podcast can help add vision and purpose to what we're doing at Ordinary Men, connect a larger group of men and ordinary women as well to what we're doing. If you don't know, Ordinary Men, Ordinary Women is a discipleship-based process where we point people to Jesus, intentional relationship, and then hopefully multiplication out into the world. So we're seeing great growth. We're seeing ordinary men and women just like you listening that are maybe have sat on the sidelines with their faith for many years or wondered how they can take the next step in discipling others or bringing people through the process of becoming closer to Jesus. And we've created a platform and a tool that you guys can use to do that, and it's called Ordinary Men. But don't just take it from me. I think it's great, but listen to what others are saying about it. What do you think of OM so far?
Love it. It opens the door and it directs you towards scripture and those types of things.
The Watchman Nee books and things have been really great, helping dig in to kind of, really take our faith a little bit deeper. And so I've really been enjoying that. The fellowship's awesome.
I'm excited about knowing the other guys who I don't know at all and seeing what God does in their lives through it.
It almost seems like, we're building momentum up to something more.
Ordinary Men is like a platform that gives guys the opportunity to walk through discipleship with one another.
So when Chad started Ordinary Men, I noticed a change in him over the course of the few months that you guys have been doing it.
It's just been cool to connect. It's been cool to connect and be in relationship with other people pursuing the same thing.
I'm super stoked on this program.
So speaking of bad things happening, so where were you at recently? So this lightning incident, what lake were you on, or was it a river?
I was on Lake in Alabama, and that's actually where I qualified for the Bassmasters Classic.
Oh, it is.
Lake. So I was back on that lake, and I got struck by lightning in practice, and that was actually my second time that I've been struck. So, I pray every morning that God just protect me. I ask God to let me have a good day, show me protection, protect my boat. And it shows you why you pray. Situations like that, getting struck by lightning, it just kind of really spoke to me and kind of told me why. It kind of gave me a visualization of why we pray in the morning. Why we ask God for protection. Because it could have been a really scary situation. Could have been a fatal situation. A lot of people get struck by lightning who don't walk away from it. And I just feel like God had his hand of protection over me and my boat and my partner. And it really turned a scary situation into a blessing, and a testimony that I can give to people. It's just something you don't deal with every day, getting struck by lightning. And
you think?
We don't realize how fortunate we are.
Well, let's talk about that though. I want to dissect this a little bit. I mean, this is fascinating. I've never met anybody struck by lightning, let alone have two incidents, which we'll talk about the second incident here in a minute. Which, by the way, there's something going on with you and lightning. Like, that's very unusual. I don't know. Maybe there's something there we need to pray about and see what God's trying to tell us. But it's very fascinating. So a storm was coming in. You were on the lake. You're like, let's get out of this place because we got to get off the water in the storm. I mean, if you haven't bass fished much, those boats aren't great in big waves. Not only that, you don't want to be stuck out in lightning, apparently. And so a lot of times you'll run back to the ramp, you're usually screaming back in your bass boat. A lot of those bass boats will go, 60 plus miles an hour. So you were going like 55, 60, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here you are.
I mean, my boat will go like 72. I mean, my boat will fly and scream.
What are you in?
I've ran a crest liner the last 3 years, and I've actually got a brand new crest liner, but B.A.S.S donated the Nitro Z20 for me to use all season.
Oh, wow.
Nitro.
Wow. Man, I wish I lived in Benton. I could be your co-angler this summer. Well, that's cool. Yeah. So you were running back in that, but you were going about 55, 60 at the time, and you were driving the boat, and the lightning struck your boat as you're going 55, 60 miles an hour down the lake. Correct?
Right.
Yeah. So, okay. So tell me that. So you had another guy with you next to you, right? In the bass boat?
Yeah. I had my partner with me, and he was actually, so to put it in perspective, it really didn't seem like it was going to storm bad. Like there was a little dark cloud, but it wasn't a cloud that you look at and think, man, I'm going to get struck by lightning. But on the other side of us, it was light, like it was sunny out. So it was like it was a situation where you never expect to get struck by lightning. So we're starting to run back towards the ramp. We didn't want to be in the rain, so we're running back towards the ramp. My partner, it started raining a little bit, so he sits in the bottom of the boat and he's facing right at me. And it was just like, all of a sudden there's a white flash, like everything's white, like a big white flash just comes right down and almost, I felt like it hit me. Like the white flash was right in my face. And he said all he could see was like a line going down, a squiggling line like of lightning. And he said it looked like it hit. I don't know where it hit. Obviously, it wasn't a direct hit, but the seat that I was in, like the chair has a bunch of wiring going through it. And it was just like it went straight through the chair and straight through me. And it got me good. I mean, if everybody asks what it felt like, it's hard to describe what it felt like, especially in the moment. But it wasn't pleasant. I can tell you that. It was like grabbing onto an electric fence and just feeling the electricity going through your body. It wasn't pleasant at all. So I wouldn't recommend getting struck by lightning. I've had like 20 people ask, what did it feel like? Well, it wasn't pleasant. It was just like electricity going all the way through your body. And after the matter, we just kind of stopped. I was kind of stunned. Like I didn't know what happened. We just looked at each other like, what the heck just happened? I mean, it was kind of stunned for a minute. And then I started getting these chest pains. Like my chest started hurting a little bit. My heart felt like it was beating out of my body. I mean, my arms were kind of shaking a little bit. My body was tingling. So we called our fishing coach, and we kind of thought it was the best decision to go back to the boat ramp and get checked out by an EMS. So we went back to the ramp. Got to the ramp, there was an ambulance there. Everybody's freaking out, like, what's going on? They see me walking up to the ambulance, and they put me on a heart monitor. Got okay, but it was a scary situation. I mean, you just never know. Like, people die from getting struck by lightning, and I was just feeling off, so I wanted to get checked out. And to say the least, we did not go back on the water that day. We got off the water, took it easy. And yeah, I'm glad we did, because we actually ended up finding all of our fish the last day, and it all just worked out perfect. I mean, like I said, it's a testimony that I can share. Could have ended a lot worse, but it's a testimony that I can share the rest of my life.
Yeah. How old are you, Trevor?
So I am 23.
Yeah. So only a 23-year-old would get struck by lightning and call their coach to see if it was a good idea to go get checked out. Trust me, I'd be like, get me back to the ramp. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
The crazy thing to me is, in that whole story, well, the whole story is crazy. Number one, I've never met anybody struck by lightning, let alone, like, you would think if it happened to be like you're standing still in the middle of a lake, like moving down the lake like that. I don't know if that makes it less likely or not. It seems like it should. But the crazy thing to me is, if you've ever been in a boat going 60 miles an hour, I mean, you had to have been like more or less incapacitated for a period of time. Like the fact that boat didn't just go out of control and you guys get thrown out of the boat. I mean, there are so many things that could have happened in that situation that would have been death. And I mean, it's just
Yep.
it's clear to me that the hand of God is on your life, and that he has more purpose for you. Because I mean, I just if you told me you got struck by lightning and lived, I'd think that was an amazing story of grace and God sparing your life. And then you add to that, you're going 60 miles an hour down the lake, and somehow you guys keep it together. That is an unbelievable story. And I'm just really thankful that you're okay, man. That's crazy.
Yep, me too, buddy. I'm just thankful to be alive and well. And like I said, we never know what day is going to be our last day. So just appreciate every moment that you have on the water and in the outdoors. And like I said, it just gives us an even better reason to pray in the mornings and ask God for protection. Because like we talked about, I feel like He answers prayers, and it can't hurt. I mean, if you're not a believer out there and you're watching this, just try praying and see what God can do in your life. Because
That's right.
I mean, I feel like He's got protection over mine, and He's always been there for me when I needed Him most. So
Yeah, that's great. And then when was it you were on Kentucky Lake? How long ago was that when that incident happened?
I was actually in high school. I was probably 16, 17 years old, and yeah, I got struck. It was a little scarier of a situation. I felt like in the moment of time, because we had like a storm blew in, and it was like a storm. You see it, you're like, holy cow, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
So this bad storm rolls in, heavy winds, thunder, lightning. So we run away from it. Like, it kind of trapped us because we couldn't get to the boat ramp because it was right in between us and the ramp. So we weren't that far from the ramp, but we weren't about to drive through it. So we ran the other way, and we got under this dock. And I mean, I thought we were safe. Like, we were under a dock. So I'm pulling our boat up underneath it, just so we can get out of the rain. And the second I do that, this lightning strike just comes down, and I mean, it was a noise that like you'll never unhear. Like, it just comes, just nails the dock and just makes like a pow noise. And all of a sudden I look up and you see like this explosion on top of the dock, and it's like a giant blue ball of light, and it goes through the dock into me, drops me to my knees, and I like black out for a moment. And like, I don't really remember exactly. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, you okay? And like, I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, it was just crazy. And yeah, I've been struck by lightning twice, 23 years old. I hope to never get struck by lightning again, but I know what it feels like. So,
Dude, that is absolutely fascinating and almost unbelievable, but I know it's true. I mean, there's articles out. I mean, obviously, you're not a liar. I mean, it's just like it's like if somebody told me they got struck by lightning twice before they're 23, I'd be like, yeah, right, or that you survived both of them without any like no physical issues. I mean, thank God for that. That is crazy.
yeah.
I've never heard of such a thing. I just hope it never happens again as well. Let's pray about that.
Yeah.
And but man, there's got to be
a lot of time to spend on the water.
I wonder if there's something to that. If like some people are more apt to like they have something in their I don't know. Like that just makes no sense to me how that could happen. But wow,
Yeah.
that is something else. Well, that is so great, man. Your story is awesome. You're an inspiration to so many. I know there's the Skibo boys are just can't get enough of you. There's so many kids like that just really look up to you. I'm sure across the nation now, and I just love that you're a role model, but you're also pointing people to Christ, and you take it serious, and I can tell that. And you're a special young man, and I do believe that God has great plans for your life, and who knows what's to come with you. And if it's fishing or if it's not fishing, I know that it'll have something to do with glorifying the Lord. And I just, man, it's so great. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Yep, I agree. So, like I said, I don't know what God's got in store for my life, but I actually went to school to be a teacher. So I really enjoy youth. I really enjoy teaching kids. And God's kind of used that with fishing to kind of let me reach out to younger kids. I met so many high school kids and even younger than that at the Bassmasters Classic. And like you said, I don't know what God's got planned in my life, and I'm excited to live in it. So,
yeah, that's great. You have any final thoughts before we check off here?
the only thing I can say is if you've got a kid who wants to go fishing, take him fishing, because my dad, I mean, he kind of struck and ignited that passion for fishing with me when I was young. I mean, 5, 6 years old, and turned out to something great. And, anytime I get the opportunity to take a young kid fishing, I took a kid fishing from church. We fished a tournament together a few weeks ago and actually won the tournament. And he was just so excited. And to see that in a young kid's eyes, to see that passion that I had when I was 6, 7, 8 years old, it just really feels good. And just, if a kid wants to go fishing, like I said, take him fishing. If you don't have a place to take him, bring him to my house. I got a pond in the backyard. So, never don't take a kid fishing when he wants to go, because 20 years from now, he can be fishing the Bassmasters Classic, an awesome experience. I'm thankful and blessed to be able to have it.
Well, thanks, man. I love your story. I love your testimony, and I love your heart in this journey. So keep it up. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode with Trevor McKinney. And check him out on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And obviously he's got some sponsors there, Carhartt. Who are your sponsors? Let's help you out there a little bit. Who you got?
Yeah, like you said, Carhartt, Toyota, they've really sponsored this whole thing. I'm driving Toyota Tundra with Carhartt, and they've helped me a lot this year. Rappala's been a bait company that supported me for years, and I actually won the bracket on a Rapala DT6. I just won a tournament on Lay Lake on a Rapala DT6 again. They've helped me out a bunch. Shimano, G Loomis, all my rod and reel combos are Shimano and G Loomis, and always have been ever since I started fishing. So they've helped me out. Sublime jerseys, this cool looking jersey. It's a Sublime jersey. They're from Illinois. So if you get a chance, go check them out. I've always bought all my jerseys from them. Those companies like that who have invested in me, I really appreciate everything that they've done for me this year, and couldn't do it without them. I mean, they've really put their time, hard work, money into me this year, and I appreciate it. Companies like Jig Shack, companies like that really helped me out, and I appreciate everything they've invested in me.
That's great. Well, man, awesome. Until next time, guys, check in with us often for new episodes, and thanks so much for listening. Let's do this.
Thanks for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.